But yes, my name is Vega. I do the channel Vega Loves. I talk about idol anime on the show Idols of Anime. I also do some vlogging. And I used to do another YouTube series called Vega Loves Comics where I talk about indie comics. So I've been doing this for a while, but I honestly didn't get super serious about it until last year, where I dug into research and tried to learn a lot. And now I'm going to be teaching you guys that stuff. And the first thing to talk about, next slide. Next slide. Finding inspiration to do this. So I'm just going to move over here because it's like you guys are all lined up over here. Finding inspiration, looking at other popular anime YouTubers, a favorite reviewer, or just someone you want to talk about for a bit of inspiration. You need to pretty much find what you want to do on YouTube. I mean, some people just dive into it, anything, and then they find it along the way. Some people take some time, and some people have no idea what to do, so they just look at others. And that's part of finding inspiration, your mood board, your pinups. And so the first part of this panel, the first about 20-30 minutes, is going to be looking at several anime YouTubers and what they do. And when you look at these, when you look for inspiration, you watch things. Sometimes you can watch things out other than just anime YouTubers. You can watch gaming YouTubers, book YouTubers, all sorts of people. You can look outside of YouTube, listen to podcasts, or just watch the shows you like and find things in it. And watching things actively. Now, what do I mean by watching things actively? You're paying attention, pretty much. Because most of the time, this is how we watch stuff. Twitter. Oh, cool. Game. Oh, okay. That Red Wedding, they died. Oh, I gotta update this while it's on. But I mean, actually paying attention, like, holy crap, that scene looks awesome. I'm looking at it intensely. But also there's watching actively in a way that you're watching something, trying to learn from it by taking notes about the thing. And you think about things you like or dislike about something. I will tell you this. There's stuff I created just because I was angry about another creation. Like, oh my god, this author, why did you write that? I'm going to write a story where that's different and that's better. And sometimes that's how you find it. So now we're going to start the first third of our panel looking at some great inspirations. Next slide. Some of the types of YouTube videos that I'm representing is unboxing, where, oh, I got Loot Crate Anime. Let's see what that is. Basic reviews about the anime. Whole retrospectives when you're talking about the entire show and its history. Analysis when you're analyzing a piece of media. You got vlogs where it's like, I watched so-and-so episode today and here's my thoughts. Lists when it's like, top 10 boobies in anime. I'm sure if you looked that up, there's actually somewhere someone done that. Sketch comedy, like say cosplayers doing some crazy things. How to, like say cosplay props, how to make a Ghostbusters outfit, how to make a cosplay, stuff like that. Or reactions, which we're gonna talk about a little bit later because they're the controversial type of YouTube video. Anyway, next slide.
Towards adults and parents. But what a lot of people I don't think know is that there are really only 5 types of anime. Now you might be thinking, Joey, what the fuck? There is way more than 5 types of anime. Like, I can already probably think of 10 different genres. Let's try it out. Action, sci-fi, fantasy, romance, comedy, cyberpunk, horror, psychological, suspense, drama. That's already 10. That's way more than 5, right? Well, you're only thinking of it in genres, because even though some anime may be following the same types of genre, they're not necessarily the same type of anime. Today, I'd like to analyze what I like to call the 5 governing types of anime, and how these 5 types of anime may affect or have been affecting anime in the past, present, and future. This shit's gonna get analytical, so strap yourselves in for some analytical bullshit. Now, the first type of anime is very simple. What I like to call art. These are series that show an open-ended and interpretive ideas and motifs while also using very experimental and innovative aesthetics. These are series that a lot of people tend to call either different or confusing because a lot of stuff, again, is very interpretive and metaphorical. For example, Tatami Galaxy. The aesthetics are super experimental. A lot of people don't look at the Tatami Galaxy art style and think that that is the classic art style that you see in anime. It is quite different. And it also explores a lot of interpretive and open-ended themes about maturity and adulthood. Another example of an art anime is my favorite, and what I believe to be an absolute masterpiece, Serial Experiments Lain. The surreal and extremely metaphor-heavy visuals and just blend beautifully together with existential and epistemological themes.
Hey friends, it's Aki Dearest. We're gonna talk about a special word today, fujoshi. Now, in short, the term fujoshi is a Japanese term given to any female otaku, specifically in the yaoi fandom. That's really all it is. And if for some reason you're questioning yourself of whether or not you're a fujoshi, Mama Aki is here to help. And for those of you that completely embrace your fujoshi side, then hopefully you will find this video as a moment for us to just get together, all of us fujoshi that are this little clique within the otaku community. Now, first off, to determine of whether or not you are a fujoshi, you must answer the following questions. Do you own female parts with the boobs and the thing that kinda looks like that? Are you of that kind of animal kingdom? If yes, then you are already on step 1 of becoming a fujoshi. Number 2, do you like anime and consider yourself an otaku? Note, not all female otakus are classified as fujoshi, but if you classify yourself as a fellow lover of anime and otaku culture, then congratulations, you are already on step 2 of being a fujoshi. And the third main question that is pretty much the gem of being a fujoshi, do you enjoy yaoi, aka boy-on-boy love?
It's been a while since we've attacked another anime, but I have finally given the time to really crack down a lot of stuff for No Game No Life. A gaming fantasy-based anime all about boobs, math, panty shots, and wait, what was this anime about again? So welcome to the Everything You Didn't Know About series, where I take an anime and share with all of you as many interesting facts, Easter eggs, and my own theories and metaphors of what that anime has to offer. Because of that, I highly recommend that you finish the entire anime, since we'll be passing by a few spoilers throughout the video. So let's go. Number 1. As far as the names go, Shiro and Sora name themselves as Kuhaku or blank. When spelling Kuhaku, the kanji separates to say Sora and Shiro. The author states that Shiro and Sora's surname is Nai. This can be interpreted as that they have no surname, since Nai is Japanese for nothing. A very fitting references to calling themselves blank. Also, the voice actors for blank had also played Sorata Kanda and Mashiro Shina from Sakura So. See what I did there? What's even more interesting is that not only are their names similar, but even the characters of Shiro and Shina reflect one another's personalities, with the fact that they rely on their caregivers.
So there's 3 examples I showed here. Anime Man and Aki Dearest, who are 2 big anime YouTubers. Anime Man has more of a style where it's kind of vlog where he looks at the camera and just talks about a thing. Aki Dearest sometimes they both put in some comedy into what they're talking about, such as the second example where Aki Dearest did that whole fujoshi thing and then talked about what it is to be a fujoshi. And she also does videos when she's analyzing a piece of, well, a show or an episode or a whole series, which was the third example. Now, what are some things that you saw that you liked in these examples? Anyone? No one. Okay, yes, in the back. Yes, exactly. Showing off your personality is something you definitely want to do in your videos. That's one thing that can really make you stand out, is just yourself. So, I guess it kind of goes into that whole old adage, be yourself. Unless yourself is an axe murderer, then please don't do that. Next slide, please.
Hope that's nothing too serious. Dun 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 dun. Oh great! Dun 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 dun. Oh great! I'm really just kind of hoping that the size is just emptying out or getting rid of some like empty box space. Because the last couple of crates did have some fairly like decent-sized air pockets in them. So maybe they're just gotten better at packing things and thought, hey, maybe we could save some money on some boxes and get smaller boxes. I can hope. Like, the alternative is that there's less stuff in this box. Which would kind of be sad, but let's see. Watcha! Watcha! Stay open. First item up for the day is a t-shirt. What's it look like? What's it look like? Like, I can't see it. Oh, this is the Twin Star Exorcist shirt. It actually looks cool. It actually looks really cool. Surprised, though, that they put the title in Japanese, considering that this is the English release of a t-shirt. Like, the English logo is here. It's on the collar. Not that anyone's going to be able to see that when you're wearing the shirt, so, But hey, I always like me my black t-shirts. And no, I haven't gotten around to watching Twin Star Exorcists. I have, in fact, been watching a lot of stuff from this existing season, which is why you haven't heard from me in a couple of, I don't know, measurement of time. Oh. Number 7 on the list is flip flappers. Insert joke about women in the 1920s here to show how cultured I am. This is an entry from Studio 3HZ. You might remember them as the studio that animated Dimension W a while back, which aired on Toonami and everything. Not that I watched it, because we don't get Toonami here in Canada. Curse you, Adult Swim! Anyway, Flip Flappers is a series, apparently, about two girls having an adventure in an alternate dimension. And I placed it on the list because I expect it to look freaking amazing. I just can't guarantee anything beyond that. The series has a first-time director, though his past credits include being the animation director for Den-O Coil and Space Dandy, as well as a keyframe animator for both the Full Metal Alchemist films, as well as some Gurren Lagann. On top of all that, the chief animation director was one of the keyframe animators for last year's Death Parade. So with all that in mind, you know what I'm expecting? Sakuga. Lots and lots of beautiful, amazing Sakuga. As long as we get that, I'll be happy. Well, with luck, there'll be an interesting story too. Flip Flappers has been licensed pre-airing by Sentai Filmworks. Again with them. Wow. Moving on.
So now we have 3 more examples. The first one was unboxing, which is a pretty popular genre on YouTube. The next one was a parody of One Punch Man making the scenes into a dubstep song. And then we have a list example where basically a YouTuber makes a video listing off a bunch of anime about something. In this case, the list example from Glass Reflection was the fall anime, the newest fall anime that came out and what's good. So what sort of bad things did you notice in these 3 videos that I just showed you? Okay, what about good things? No one? Well, you just got here. Okay, good and bad things about that one guy. But pretty much some of the bad things, I think, is it's really hard to make an unboxing video really fun and without it being too awkward. I'm not a big fan of the genre, although some has done some really interesting things with it. I just think this could have been more interesting. As for the parody one, Baka Opie, his stuff is pretty hilarious, although sometimes it runs a bit too long. And with the list videos, Glass Reflection is pretty great at it. Another person I pretty much recommend. Let's go to the next slide, please.
He's always been portrayed as a kind, if easily pushover kid who seems to always be on his back foot when it comes to heated social situations. In fact, that's the reason why in Daughter of Darkness his lashing out at Ryoko was so shocking. He simply wasn't a guy who lashed out. Period. So to see him portrayed as a petulant little teenager borders on the surreal. And yet the entire existence of the Ryooki universe hinges on him being an unlikable little prick. He steals his grandfather Yosho's keys to go somewhere he wasn't supposed to, and inadvertently releases an imprisoned Ryoko. Simply put, without Tenchi being a mischievous, impulsive punk, we don't have a story. But Tenchi isn't the only one who is acting completely out of character. The first episode also introduces us to Ryoko, who has one hell of an introduction.
Let me go!
Knowing what we know now about Ryoko, this is a very striking and hauntingly beautiful scene. But, going in blind, this introduction takes a turn for the confusing. As Ryoko catches up with Tenchi, she reveals that she wants revenge for being kept prisoner for centuries, and releases her pent-up frustration on him. Oh, and homage more than just a few scenes from Star Wars.
I gotcha! Hey! No fair cheating!
What? Give me a break!
This sudden turn from a loving, if not creepy woman to a kill-crazy maniac is one of the more whiplash-inducing character turns I can recall. There's just no through line between these two modes, and the fact that she stops only when Tenchi cuts off her hand, again, thank you Star Wars, only to pop in again to be roomies with him is jarring, to put it lightly.
Have. Mars has a brooch on her skirt, and Jupiter and Venus have belts that are incorporated as attacks. These eventually would be cycled out in the manga, once the Senshi get upgraded uniforms. Sailor Moon also has a mask similar to Sailor V's red mask in the first chapters or so of the manga, but eventually that gets cycled out, so it's not entirely surprising that they didn't include it in the original anime. These are strictly cosmetic changes, however, and make sense from an animation perspective. It's far easier to simplify the outfits to make the animation process faster. While the main plot of the manga remained largely the same, lots of smaller details were changed in the anime. For example, Sailor Venus has a much larger role in the original manga. She serves as a body double for Princess Serenity. When she first reveals herself to the Senshi, she pretends to be the princess in order to trick the Dark Kingdom and give Usagi time to awaken to her true power. Venus then acts as a leader of sorts among the Senshi, though they all defer to Usagi since she is the princess. Venus even gets a cool space sword and kills Beryl with it. Sweet!
Ninjor also sticks around as an ally of the Rangers, even being able to grow himself into a larger, kinda sorta Zord mode. The need for him to stick around is pretty much because of the Sentai footage, taken from the series Kaku Ranger. Ninjor's design is very much fascinating in relation to Power Rangers mythology. While he's from a series completely unrelated to Jew Ranger, the fact that Sentai has very similar designs for the majority of their series, multicolored outfits, black visor, rounded helmet, could imply that Ninjor built other ancient Power Rangers before. Future series would describe other events that happened in history from various time frames, 3,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, etc., and powers that don't have a fully fleshed out origin, just that they are very old. And according to events later this season, we know that the Power Coins were not the only Power Rangers paraphernalia that Ninjor has made before.
Sometimes I go in thinking I'm going to hate a series, and usually I do. You know, like Love Doll. Oh god, that sucked. But then I go into a series and end up being pleasantly surprised. Kirarin Revolution is one of these. The show is based on a manga by An Nakahara, a shoujo manga artist. It started in 2004 and ran in Chao till 2009. The anime started in 2006. This is the first idol anime to be a co-production with South Korea. It aired until 2009 with a total of 153 episodes. Also, this brings me to something I haven't talked about surprisingly. Morning Musume. I mentioned them once or twice, but not how huge they are. Also, this anime is occasionally an advertisement for them. This is because Kirari, the main character, is voiced by Koharu Kasumi. She was the only 7th generation member. She was a part of several subgroups, including Kira Pika, a unit for the show. She graduated in 2009, but she also did modeling, TV shows, commercials, and radio. In 2010, she was a part of Dream Morning Musume with other former members. While the series ran as 153 episodes without a break in seasons, since the stories and themes fit into 26 episode chunks, I refer to those chunks as seasons. So those are 4 examples. The first one, Anime Abandoned, mostly a traditional kind of review show on it. Kaluna, who actually does more than just anime videos, but started with anime videos, did a whole retrospective on Sailor Moon. Linkara, who's actually a guest at this convention, not an anime YouTuber, but did do a whole retrospective on Power Rangers, also talking about the Sentai history, which is Japanese. And Vega Loves, who's that? Oh, by the way, that's me, if you weren't here for the introduction. But basically a retrospective on every idol anime ever. Now, the difference between a review and a retrospective, mostly a review, you're talking about the media, you're saying your opinion, you're going over it, and maybe a little bit of history. A retrospective is a little bit of a review, but with mostly the historical context of what the anime represents, or the things that went into it, or the people who worked on it. And that's kind of the main difference there. Now, anything in the videos that you saw that stood out to you? Nothing. That brings up a good point. Later in the panel, I talk more about about passion and just what drives you. But since you brought it up, it's a good place to bring it up. When you're talking about whatever YouTube you want to make, say you want to do a cosplay one, say you want to do a Sword Art Online like show, say you want to do a Sailor Moon show, or say you want to do a show about panels. Being passionate about it and showing that passion can really help you because, one, you're looking at it. You're like, I'm just a viewer. What's this? If they don't seem interested in talking about it, how are they going to get into it? If you're not interested, they're not going to be interested. So let's go to another example. Slide, please. Another set of examples.
It's safe to say that making armor is one of the most intimidating aspects of cosplay, especially when you're just starting out. It's really easy to look at these armor projects that other cosplayers make and think to yourself, there's no way I could ever do that. But I'm here to tell you, you can. If you're intimidated by armor, the first thing you can do is learn about all the different materials you'll be working with during your pauldron making adventures. Remember, knowledge is power, and it's going to be your greatest ally while you figure out how to cosplay your latest Fire Emblem waifu or whatever it is you kids are obsessed with these days. I say that like I haven't cosplayed from Fire Emblem. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into making armor than just choosing what material you're going to work with. But you kind of have to do that before anything else. So what we're going to do in this video is go through the most common materials that cosplayers use when making armor. Things like your budget, the tools you have available, and your time frame will be major factors that determine which material you choose, along with what you'll be making, of course. For the purpose of not making this a 20-minute video, we're just going to cover the bare-bone basics of each of these materials. Then if you want actual tutorials and project examples, please check the links in the description. So let's dive into this crash course on cosplay armor materials. First up, cardboard. That's right, there's no need to be fancy if you don't want to. You can make awesome armor with cardboard. The benefits of cardboard are that it's lightweight, cheap, and easy to find. I'm sure we all have plenty of these lying around because we like to buy stuff. However, cardboard is very weak and it's susceptible to water damage. Also, it can look really bad unless you put in the extra effort to make it look really good. Next up, still on the budget-friendly side of the spectrum, is craft foam. This can be called things like fun foam or foamies at your local craft store.
So that was just a cosplay creator. And with making videos, it's more informational. Basically, you're telling someone, this is the materials, this is what you can use, and how to do it. But some great things about this example, she uses a lot of text. She'll talk about all the text and things you need to use, and then list it in the video with some text. And she shows it off. She talks about all this stuff. And one of the things she does is a call to do something, such as check out the links in the description for that thing to help you better learn. And so this is a nice educational example of making YouTube videos. But also, it pertains into the anime YouTuber, because what do anime fans mostly do? Cosplay. But also, cosplay videos can go well beyond just the anime scope. There's lots of cosplay videos that's on all sorts of things. Anyway, what did you think of this example? What did you hate? What did you like about it? Anyone? Yes. That she really knew what she was doing. And that goes into one thing. If you're going to talk about something, make sure you know what you're talking about. You don't want to make an entire video, put it out to the world, and then you get 100 comments saying how much wrong you are. And if you do get a comment saying you're wrong about something, try and take it gracefully. And let's go to our next example.
In 2014, the best animated TV anime series ever made aired for the first time. Overseen by Shinichiro Watanabe and directed by Shingo Natsume, this show brought together the best names in the animation world to create something uniquely stunning throughout. The best action animators, character animators, effects animators, background animators, mechanical animators, they were all sitting around at a Studio Bones office creating Space Dandy. Its director, Shingo Natsume, already had a lot of friends within the industry. Praised by Hiroyuki Imaishi for his key animation work, and personal friends with the co-director of Kill la Kill, Natsume was the very definition of the cool kid on the schoolyard, and after his work on Space Dandy, he was playing frisbee with some of the best animators in the industry. So, Madhouse, now with a large budget but not nearly enough in-house talent, decided that not only did they want Shingo Natsume to direct this new adaptation, but they also wanted his book of friends. And now the results are clear to us as well. One Punch Man Episode 1 has launched, and the animation quality is incredible. To have all of these exemplary moments of animation, or sakuga, in just one episode is certainly a rarity. So, how about we take a look? Let's find out what made this episode great in page 1 of Shingo Natsume's Book of Friends. These references just write themselves.
But yes, that's an example of the Kanapa effect, one of my favorite anime YouTubers. And this is an example, I like to call the spotlight example, because he makes videos spotlighting on a certain person in the anime industry, and or sometimes a certain thing in the anime industry, as he did with his anime composers videos. And yes, I do like a good pun on a title. Now, another thing you'll notice from him and several other people I've shown you is that they mostly just use voiceover and video, which is another way you can make YouTube videos. I use voiceover in Idols of Anime, and I'm rarely on screen. But in other people's videos and my videos in the past, I did do the whole camera thing. Let's go to the next slide. And that was mostly the examples. Now, I talked about reactions very briefly. Reactions, bad or good? Now, reaction videos, you'll get a lot of very polarizing opinions on, because, and it was a big drama thing in the YouTube community. People were like, there was wailing and gnashing of teeth, person against person. It was pretty much like the election up in there. But here's the thing with reaction videos. There's good ways of doing them. The one way, here's the anime in the corner, and it's like, hi, my name is Viga, and I like Sword Art Online, and this episode, we're going to, like, watch it as, you know, and I'll react to it. Oh, Asuna. Yes, that type, where it's pretty much seeing someone watch it. And it can get boring, especially if they have no reaction at all. And then they're like, but it's a silent review. There's no such thing as a silent review. But there are good reaction videos where, say, here's how you do it. You show a little clip of anime, and then you talk about it or something. Or you do it like kind of the Fine Brothers. Yes, they're pretty much controversial off that whole React World thing. But, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But they do have a good format when it comes to reaction videos. And Mark Watches is another one I recommend who does this with all sorts of media, like everything, including anime. So there is a good and bad way of doing reaction videos. But if you do plan to do that, I want you to pretty much look at a bunch, look at the ones that do it right and more engaging, and try and make it less, well, subject to get copyright claim because all you did was put the whole thing in the corner type of thing. Next slide. And then there's Japanese culture vids. Now, yes, it's a bit outside the anime scope, but you can make, say, videos about something else you're passionate about, such as J-fashion. There's people who do stuff all about Decora or Lolita and things like that. Then, of course, there's anime and music. There's people who love anime music. I'm one of those people where most of my phone is nothing but anime music and, like, punk. Those are the two things. Japanese games, people like gaming channels. Holy crap. I remember when they were just a little thing, and now they're, like, taking over. Thanks, PewDiePie. For good or for better. And then touring Japan. You go to Japan, show that stuff off. Show off to Japan, show off what you're buying. So here's 3 short examples of Japanese culture videos. Next slide.
But it's a lot of work because you gotta wear all that stuff.
Oh, I mean, I'm more than one to suffer from fashion.
Alright, let's get you dressed. Hi.
Man, that doesn't help my vision at all.
But it looks cute! So Vernon is dressed.
Hello.
He's wearing a galaxy top.
Oddly comfortable here.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. A little bit of booty right there. It's nice. Enjoy that. I'm really showing off the old assets. Assets.
So
Leaving a little strand of white there. Just a little strand of white. And then go ahead and darken all of this over here. I wanted to also point out, actually I'm going to lighten that up because I was going to point out about how, you can, if you want to, you can really get into this area where the strands of hair are coming out of the top of the head, depending on the angle, and get into the details of the hair coming, flowing out in various directions.
So, School Idol Festival has finally reached version 4.0 on EN, and a lot has been changed to celebrate the debut of our darling divas of the sea. And I'm here today to give you a basic overview of all the changes, as well as an in-depth look at 2 of the most important new features, School Idol Skills and Sticker Idolization. Before we get started, if you are new to School Idol Festival, I highly recommend checking out my Let's Explain Love Live 3.1 video first. That video goes in depth in all the game's major features, and if you're watching on a laptop or desktop computer, you'll also see on-screen annotations pointing out things that have changed since that video came out. Or, if you're new to Love Live period, like you haven't even watched the anime or read the manga or anything like that yet, and you don't know who the characters are, then you can watch my very first Let's Explain video instead. That one's a bit rougher around the edges and way out of date, but the basics are all still the same, and it may be a bit easier for new fans to understand that one. So anyway, let us not delay further, shall we? Here is your 4.0 feature rundown, starting with...
nothing. But yes, these are some more examples on it. Now, there's one on the J-Fashion, lovely Laura. I highly recommend her. She's been involved in some really great comedy sketches as well with the Lolita community. And Mark Crowley, now that's just an example of art, because I love doing fan art and manga-style stuff. Why not make that into a video series of just drawing characters? There's people who's done that. There's a great one of people making Smash characters. Well, I mean, characters that should be in Smash style. Recommend that. And the last one was Erin Cerise, where she talks about lots of idol games and things like that. That's her niche. Idol games, like Love Live School Idol Festival. Now, what have you noticed in some of these that you like or dislike? Anyone? yes, that's an example some people use in YouTube of just doing a character. You don't have a camera, you don't want to do a voiceover, so why not just make a character and then have them kind of somewhat animated? It's something that YouTube channels like I Hate Everything's done. Some of the Steven Universe community channels do that, and Aaron Cerise utilizes that. Next slide, please. And now we go down to finding your niche. What do you want to do? After we looked at all of these great examples to find some inspiration, now it's time to find what do you want to add to the entire, well, anime YouTube. Next slide. So basically it goes down to what are you interested in? Let's say you're really into swords, anime swords, and you want to do a show about that and go into the design and history of these swords. Why is the Tetsaiga the way it is and why it's designed? Why are the swords in Sword Art Online, which I guess have swords in it? It has swords in it, right? Yes, it does. I keep picking on this anime because I noticed your cosplay. Or the swords in He-Man or things like that. Does it exist? I don't think there is a show about anime swords. I think it should be. I think you should make it. He said he will. Woo! Is there a demand? Maybe there is. Maybe people are really into swords. And come on, we're at an anime con. You go to the dealer's room, you're going to find swords. They're going to be everywhere. People like swords. So you're like, I'm going to do this. One of the inspirations for mine was, I love idol anime. And idol anime has really, well, exploded. We have like at least 4 or 5 series of it per season in the last 2 years. So those are some of the ways that you can really find your niche into what you're talking about. And the thing about finding your niche in anime YouTube, it helps you stand out. You could be a general YouTube channel where you just talk about every anime or whatever anime, or you just review lots of anime. But say you're really into the 80s. 80s anime could be your niche. You're really into 90s anime. You're really into, say, shonen, all shonen channel. And what can this do for you? Well, it helps you stand out. One of the things that will help you stand out, and people who like that particular thing will go to you as the master of their love. Okay, maybe not that last part, but close enough when you're a big YouTuber. I wish I'd known what that felt like. Anyway, next slide. But whatever you do, make sure you love it. And that's really important because I'm going to talk about it later in the panel about getting burnt out and getting discouraged over it. But make sure you love what you're talking about. Make an anime YouTube channel because you love anime and you want to share that love. If you don't love what you're talking about, it will come through to the audience and they're just going to click off your video. Research. Make sure you know what you're talking about. Make sure you read everything you need to know about what you're talking about or know everything. Watch all the episodes at least. And then there's YouTube channels that are multiple topics. Like mine was comics for a while, but then I switched over to anime. And I do other things occasionally, but I keep them all pretty organized and separate on my channel, which will go more into the look aspect of this panel. And experiment. I mean, yeah, you could do a Flash animated character, but what if you really want to do just standard video, looking at the camera, buy your 4K thing, use your iPhone? Little hint, phones these days make great cameras. Like, there's people who do whole YouTube channels just off their iPhone, and that's amazing. And try not to spam it. I know, you're really excited. You just did your product, you just did your content, and you want to share it to everyone, but if you spam it, people will just be like, what is this lame thing? Not click it. Dislike out of spite. So try not to spam it everywhere. There are ways of getting your video out there, which will be coming up in another part of the panel. Next slide. So with that, we have our first question break. Anyone have any questions before we move on to the rest of the panel? How hard is it to get started? Actually, not very hard at all. Pretty much, you make the YouTube channel, think of what your name's going to be, think about what content you're going to make, plan out your content, and start writing and producing. See what type of form do you want it to take, which is why I showed the anime examples, to see what form you might want. And pretty much there you go. It's through Google, so you could just use your email if you want, or make a separate email for it. But and then there's lots of other things to think about, such as branding and stuff. But as you get started, try just focusing on the content itself, and then learn all the rest as you go. Yes. I honestly just get them from the internet a lot of time, because if you could get the DVD and then just burn it, well, like get the stuff off using Handbrake is a popular one, then you do that. But a lot of time I just go to, say, get a RAW online, because it's just faster and simpler, and a lot of time you can get it in HD. And if you're already if you just say you're watching the anime in like on Crunchyroll or Funimation, where you can't just download it off of that, then yeah, you'll have to go to one of those kind of shady sites. You could do screen caps. Erin Cerise, who YouTube video on the Love Live game I showed you, she did the vlogs for the new series Love Live Sunshine, and she just used screen caps. That's because she was watching on Funimation. She just like, Control Alt 3 screen cap. And so you could do it that way as well. Anyone else got any questions? Yes. Ooh. You see, I wasn't sure if I should put that in the panel or not, but you brought it up, so I'm going to tell you all right now. All right, so here's what I do with my video clips. I usually make them a bit smaller, and I have like a background in the screen. Now, here, a rule of thumb is to keep your clips that you're going to use like about no more than 15 to 20 seconds long, and then go to another clip. One, it's good to do this so they don't close in on it and get you for that. But two, it also makes it more visually interesting for the viewer to have many clips go by like that. Excuse me? Exactly. And so you could get around that. When it comes to music, though, music is a big thing. I use background music from the anime in a lot of my Idols of Anime episodes. And occasionally they might have got me for that if I used a whole song clip. But usually if your voice is over it and you like lower the volume on the second audio layer of the anime music, you can get by that way, which is how I get through that. And sometimes they just get you anyway, and there's nothing you could do. Sometimes, because a lot of times they'll just do a mass copyright strike or copyright claim on a lot of stuff. Like, say, I did Perfect Blue. Hey, this is a Perfect Blue thing. But I didn't upload the movie. Appeal, we don't care. And yeah, so if you see an ad on the Perfect Blue video, it's not mine. That's just an example of some of the things they could do. Nowadays, it's getting a lot better, because before, people would do false claims where there's just like, took your video, haha, now I will monetize it for my own. But it had nothing that you said it was in it. We don't care. And that was a huge problem. But nowadays, YouTube, after hearing all of the complaints and pretty much bigger YouTubers like taking the cause, now they changed it to, if someone claims a video for copyright or DMCA or anything like that, the money kind of goes into this, well, kind of ether that YouTube has set up, so they're not claiming it, doing a false claim to get your money. That's basically how you could deal with it now. So, and there's more tips about that, but those are the main two I run into: audio and video, false claims. And sometimes you'll get a claim from someone you have no idea who it is, and it's usually a company on behalf of whatever studio does the anime. Yes? Yep, that's going to be in the next section. So let's go to the slide. Actually, not the section after this one. Sorry, but now let's talk about writing real quick. Writing or off the cuff. Planning what you have to say can keep your thoughts organized. Off the cuff can mean hilarious chaos. Both can bring some genius. Now, what's the thing with writing? Slide. It's organized. It keeps your thoughts organized. So that way you know what you're talking about. And you can edit those thoughts. If you say things off the cuff, you can't really go back and edit it. You could just have to make another take. But if you're, say, writing your whole essay or blog post or paper that you're going to turn into a video, then you could go back, add some more things very easily. And it helps keep you from dead space. Now, what is dead space? It's when you're talking kind of off the cuff and you just, yeah. That's an example of dead space. And when it comes to off the cuff, next slide. Woo! Anime, woo! Crazy! But it can work. Vlogs are an example. Anime Man is pretty much an off-the-cuff guy, and he's funny as heck. And plus, sometimes your ideas are flowing freely when you're just kind of thinking, and then the ideas just come in your head, and you have to talk about how much you love Yu-Gi-Oh! Or then comedy can result from this, because sometimes you just think of jokes on the fly. Really funny people think of jokes on the fly. 1, 2, 3, 4. I love those type of people because I wish I was like that. But yeah, it can be bad because you get the dead space, or sometimes things aren't as funny, or you don't have anything planned, so you don't talk about the thing that you wanted to talk about, but you forgot to talk about it because it was an important thing. That thing! Next slide. And if you put in both, because it's fun. Sometimes the best ideas of jokes just come up in the editing process. Here is my little process for how I make videos. First, I write the entire thing. But, well, actually first I research, and it takes hours of research. Goes like with books, library, YouTube, Google, reviews, articles. Then I write all this haphazard bunch of notes from just watching the show and reading these articles and history and all this stuff. Then I actually write the thing. And then it comes a whole day, like a day where I just devote to editing it down, adding jokes, seeing what I could subtract, add, to try and condense it a little. Sometimes I don't condense it, and that's why I have 30-minute videos occasionally. And sometimes when after I already recorded, after I already uploaded all the audio, about to do the video, I think of a great visual gag and just throw that in. And sometimes just off-the-cuff humor like that just shows in the video, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, I love that part, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I just thought of that 3 a.m. in 30 seconds. Woo! Next slide, please. And now we go to tools. So what do you use to make a YouTube video? Next. Surprisingly, these days, a phone can do. Seriously, you got like a camera in your pocket. It's amazing. HD video at that? Holy crap, like, we are spoiled here. Unless you got a Samsung Galaxy 7, then, yeah, you better get rid of that before it explodes. But, yes, sometimes people use their phone to make YouTube videos, and it comes out great. A consumer camera with a mic input would be ideal. I just use a Canon HD camcorder, and it has a mic jack, so I could put my mic in it, and, I could flip the screen around so I know what I'm doing, things like that. And that's basically what I use when I do video. Mics are important. They make you sound good. If bad mic can result in bad things. See, some of my early episodes of Idols of Anime was pretty bad. I used the microphone on the laptop. Yeah, I see your eyebrows raising at me. And after that, just wag your finger at me. For shame. And then I used a audio headset that someone gave me because they found that I was doing audio on my laptop mic. It was like, no. They literally went to their room, came back, gave me a headset and a jack and said, use this. Which I did for a while. And nowadays, I just use a pretty high-end directional microphone that I actually borrowed from my fiance from his YouTube show. And that works great. The audio comes out great. And the thing is about microphones, when you have a good one, you don't have to do that much cleanup and audition. Yay! because audio cleanup can be so tedious. And then standards like a tripod, something to put your camera on. You could make it could be small, it could be large, it could be portable, as long as you have something to keep your camera steady. I remember back in the day I used to use stacked manga, about this high, because I had that much manga. But really a tripod will come in handy. And then of course lighting. You want to make sure you have good lighting if you're going to do kind of just just yourself type of video. Because bad lighting, you don't want to look so dark that no one can see you. You don't want to look so bright that you're pretty much the sun. And with lighting, it can, well, make the environment look great, make sure you show up, make sure you don't look like a serial killer, that sort of stuff. And it's way better to color correct when you have good lighting. Make sure you check your white balance as well. Now, this is some weird jargon right here. White balance has to do with pretty much making sure lighting's not too yellow and stuff. Usually a piece of paper on the camera helps with that, as well as you could do that in Premiere. That's what I use. And just basically make sure you don't look like a serial killer. And it just upgrades you in terms of look. Now, because this is a visual medium, of course, people are going to look at how it looks first. And your first few videos are going to be shaky as heck because you're new at this. My first few videos are horrendous. And I did not put them in this panel because, I don't want to show you that. But it's pretty much as you learn, as you invest more in your show, it's going to look great. Now, let's go to the next slide. Now with programs. Here's a list of programs I have used, some I have not. I will let you know which ones those are. Audacity. Audacity is great. It's a free program, open source. It's an audio program. It has all the simple tools you need for audio, like pretty much just audio. You can warp it, you can make your voice wobbly, you can cut it, you can edit, you can clean it up, you can reduce the noise. It's great. It's really handy. And you could get it right now because it's free. So pretty much if you're going to do voiceover, start out with Audacity. You don't need a fancy audio program. Sony Vegas is what I started on when it came to video editing. It's a pretty good price, and it's really comparable to Premiere in a lot of aspects, but Premiere has a lot more bells and whistles that Sony Vegas doesn't have. Now, the Vegas I used was up to 12.0 HD, so I'm not sure about later releases of that. But it's a really easy program to get started. And as my friend said, if you don't know how to do something, a 12-year-old on YouTube can teach you. Seriously, like, I didn't know how to do something in Premiere. The 12-year-old from Britain on YouTube taught me how. Where are they getting these expensive programs? I wish I had parents who would spend that much on me. Corel Video Studio, I just learned about yesterday, which apparently some people use. Now, the reason I put it on here is because its price point is really low. It was only about $60 to $80, which is pretty good for buying an entire program. So for a budget reason, Corel's Video Studio is really good, but I'm not sure how it is on performance yet because I literally just heard of this earlier, like yesterday, as a good, cheap alternative. Adobe products is my jam. Adobe products is what I've been using for the last 3-4 years. Woo, Adobe! I'm in the cult. Now, Premiere is pretty much my go-to. Premiere has everything. Great effects, it has audio effects, it has video effects, it has transitions, audio transitions. It's a big learning curve for it, but you can do it thanks to a 12-year-old on YouTube. But yeah, Premiere also has the value of working well with the other Adobe products. You can use it with After Effects. You can use it with Audition, which is the audio Adobe product. And you can use it well with Photoshop. And Photoshop, Premiere, After Effects, Audition is what I use most of the time. After Effects, it's pretty hard. I've just started learning that about 3 months ago, and I'm still trying to integrate it. And my next episode of Idols of Anime is the one that uses it heavily. So I kind of used that episode to help challenge myself to finally learn After Effects. It's been sitting on my computer taunting me, telling me, open me, start a composition, learn to animate text, animate with me. After Effects is great because you can animate your text with it, as well as do great masking effects, a little other weird effects, make lasers. And lots of people make templates that you could use too and incorporate in your videos. Say you need a strange portal. Some 12-year-old on YouTube made it for you. Seriously, these 12-year-olds, what the heck? Were you 12? Close enough. But yes, you could. But yes, you could do that. Surprisingly, Blender. Now, most people know Blender as the program you can make 3D animation, but apparently you can do video in it. And I didn't know this until like I learned about it just reading up on different programs people use for YouTube. And I'm like, Blender? That's why I have a question mark and an exclamation point. Blender? But apparently Blender you could do that with. And why did I put on this list? Well, because it's open source and thus free. And not all of us have money. So, Audacity, Blender, that's a nice good to start. Sony Vegas, try and get them on a sale. Corel Video, if you have an extra $80. Adobe products if you're rich. I got my Adobe products through school, so I'm not rich either. But there is Premiere Elements, which has some of the basic things in Premiere to use and, you know, is a really good program itself, works with the other Adobe products, and it's way cheaper because it's a more condensed or has less features than the main Premiere. So definitely check out Premiere Elements as your first program or Sony Vegas as your first program. Those two I can definitely recommend because I've used those. Next slide. Now tips. Don't make these mistakes because I may have made them and don't want you to end up like Vega. Next slide. Good audio goes a long way. On my channel, Vega Loves, there's an episode about the Idol Master. It was about the comments people made on it. It has the worst audio ever. It does. Mostly because I was still recording on my laptop and had no idea what I was doing at the time in Audition. And well, plus, when you click on a video, you're listening to it and all you hear is, welcome to Anime Fan XX channel. And we're talking about Pikachu. Yeah, good audio is just great, but bad audio is just an instant turn off, and you're just like, nope, going to see what else videos out there. Try to get your vids out consistently. I still deal with this problem. But yeah, if you bring out say a weekly show. Now a weekly show is going to be pretty hard your first time out. But if you do that, people know to expect you on, say, Wednesday. Every Wednesday, they're going to get their Anime Fan 692 fix. But mostly, if you're just starting out, I suggest something like maybe bi-weekly, like every 2 weeks, twice a month. That's a pretty reasonable amount. I try to get at least 2 Idols of Anime out per month. Sometimes they're not always on the day of, but I try to get at least 2 per month because that's what I promise people. Especially the patrons, which I'll get into later. And so if you bring them out at a constant pace, people are going to come back. You're going to get a fan base. People will know what to expect. People will seek you out because they know that you have that new anime video every Wednesday. And do what you're capable of. And as you get better, increase your output. Yeah, you're like, I'm going to go in running. I'm going to have a show every week. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be the best Pikachu-based anime YouTuber ever. But sometimes it's really hard, especially when you're just learning the programs or just learning the audio. So as you get better, say, okay, so my fiance, Linkara, he guess here, big YouTuber. He gets out multiple videos a week sometimes, especially in October where he's doing a video every day. And I'm just like, I can't do the thing you do. No, that thing you do. But yeah, that's because he's been doing it for like 8 years and knows Premiere just like this and can get through editing in like a snap. Me, I'm still like, it takes me like days. That's why I only do it bi-monthly. Well, bi-weekly, I mean. And share your video on social media, but around peak hours and not 2 a.m. I made this mistake several times because sometimes I just finished it and I really want to bring it out there, but no one's on Twitter at 2 a.m., at least in America. In other places, yes. But what I mean by peak hours is pretty much more like a 9 to 5 weekday. I got this tip at a convention called Intervention where a lot of creators, internet creators, go to. They say if you're going to share something, definitely put it out during the peak hours because that's where you got the most amount of eyeballs to see it. Why? Because people are dicking off at work. I mean, come on, you're at work. You don't want to be there. You open the tab, there's YouTube video right there waiting for you, and you secretly try and watch it while you have to do your accounting or whatever. So, oh, okay. But yes, sneak off to the bathroom, get out your iPhone, watch it on there during the peak hours. Now, yeah, you could put it up at, say, as late as 8 or 9 p.m. because then you got the night people. Or, you could put it at 2 a.m. because you got those people who don't sleep like me. But really, you get the most views during the peak hours because that's when everyone's on it. Like another thing, people like to watch stuff in the evening because if you look, you know how you're on YouTube and sometimes they say experiencing interruptions? Here's why. And there's this chart of everyone watching Netflix at the same time. So that shows some of the evening peak hours. So basically around, I would say 7 to 9, and then you got 9 to 5. The one between that is kind of everyone's going home or whatever. But definitely do it then. And plan a few videos first. Make a list of videos that you want to do. And pretty much make an outline of what you want to say in them, or just little scribbles of what you want to do, because that will help you pretty much plan out and where you kind of see a trend of what you're doing to where your channel's going to go. And if you're making a series, try a buffer. I made about 5 episodes of Idols of Anime before I started putting them out there on the channel. And I put them up week by week because I thought, I'm going to make a weekly series. And it's going to be awesome. And yeah, so much work. And I ran out of that buffer really quick. But again, think of good timing that's consistent, that fits your lifestyle, and a little buffer so you can always have a video out on the day of because you got some extra time to do it. And then, of course, at the end of the video, hey, y'all, just like and subscribe here if you want some more stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Here's my catchphrase. A little call and response, because that will help people remind them, oh, I like this person. I will press subscribe. Click. Next slide. And now we have channel stuff. What's in a name? Branding. Now, branding, basically, when it comes to my name, Vega, I'm Vega almost everywhere online. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and my channel, Vega Loves. But no matter what type of branding it is, Vega is in it somewhere, or it's just Vega. And the only reason why there's extra something after Vega is because someone took Vega. And I will find them all. So yeah, when you get your series, name it something. But try and be careful what you name it, because say you want to switch over to different content, you want to do multiple content, but your name is Pikachu Cooking. Well, now you're going to be stuck as a cooking channel. So try and make it, a bit more inclusive, a bit more not so specific, or else you'll always be Pikachu Cooking, making Pikachu-based meals for every occasion. Oh man, I need to start that. Patent pending, don't steal it. Original character, do not steal. And have good thumbnails, channel banner, etc. Now this also goes into the look. You want your channel to be inviting. You want people to see it and be like, man, this looks slick as heck. I'm going to watch this video. Now, the thumbnails are those little pictures that represent the video that you see in the sidebar on YouTube or on a channel. There's good tips I will show you in the photos real quick. But, yeah, you want them to look polished. You want it to look like something that people are going to get something out of. And plus you want them to look consistent enough so people know that's you, which I'll talk more about. Remember to put an end card with info. So YouTube just rolled out this new feature. Well, new to me because some YouTubers, bigger YouTubers, had it for a while already. but now they're rolling it out, called end cards, which instead of annotations where you just make up an end card and then you have to do the annotations and fix up the links, now they have a much more slicker output, much easier to put in your subscribe button, your icon, your Patreon, and a video that represents, say, your last episode or your favorite episode or your best episode. And that works really well. And then there's cards and annotations. Now, cards and annotations, cards are these little, you see that eye symbol on the top of a video. And that just shows links to pretty much other YouTube videos that I, say, want you to see. Like, you're watching Kirarin Revolution, episode 15 of Idols of Anime, and I talk about, say, AKB0048 in it, and when that comes to that point, a little thing will pop up at the top saying, here's the AKB0048 episode. And that's really useful. You could also use an annotation to do that, but the cards look so much better, and the thing that benefits over the cards over annotations is that cards work on mobile, because more people are watching YouTube on the go than, say, 5 years ago, when more people were watching on a desktop. And basically, this change, which I'll go to when I talk more about analytics to see who's watching your videos, mobile versus desktop versus whatever. Let's go to the next slide. Some good resources on YouTube videos, more on branding, more on how to do them, more on or trying to get popular, trying to get 10,000 views or whatever, or 10K subscribers. Roberto Blake, he's one of my favorites. Heck, just to get myself hyped up, I was put on some of his videos today talking about how to get subscribers and stuff. Highly recommend them. I also subscribe to Tim Smorer, who does Video Creators TV, sometimes he has other creators on to talk about their experiences with YouTube. Highly recommend both of those. You will learn a lot. So much that I can't even fit in this 2-hour period here. Next slide. And when it comes to the look, now let's unpack this. We got the Canapa effect right here, one of the examples I showed you. You got his banner right here. You got his icon over here, a very recognizable icon. And then you have these title cards or thumbnails at the bottom. His animation spotlight title cards always look a certain way. His composers look different. His PA Works interview looks different. And whenever he's doing an animated spotlight, you'll know it because you'll see this type of template right here. If he's doing something on composers, he uses that. Doing some interview, uses that one. Can we get another slide? And here's some title cards or thumbnails. The Idols of Anime ones always have the same type of look, so even from say, it's very small, you know that that's an Idols of Anime video. Or the Love Live Vlogs has just a big number of what episode, and it says Love Live Sunshine Vlogs. And that uses a certain template. And that's to make sure that people know, oh, that's another video I should check out. Because if it was just some sort of ambiguous anime girl in a pose, that's not going to tell you what that video is about. And you're kind of be like, whatever, I don't know. Because, okay, people don't read sometimes, so they might not read like what the episode is. They look at the thumbnail first because that's meant to catch your eye. So you want eye-catching graphics on your channel. You want a good icon. You want a good thumbnail to bring people in. Next slide. And now we're down to question break 2. We just talked about programs, writing, and the look. That's also great resources. Do we have any more questions right now over what we just talked about? Anyone? Well, I need to drink some water, so water break instead. Helps that these are water-based Pokemon. Mudkip. Oh, God. So, my fiance took mean comments people made about his work and put it on his DVDs as quotes. I find that hilarious, but I never found any inspiration from the mean comments, I just kind of ignore them because, well, I don't want to give attention to them. But sometimes other commenters will be like fight on my behalf, and I feel guilty, like, you don't fight over me. That's true. So here I have a story about this. I've done a video called Top 5 Most Hilariously Offensive Chick Tracks. Yeah. And so I've done this 5 years ago, and yet it still gets comments to this day of various religious people, various non-religious people saying horrible things like, hey, look, it's Harambe talking about demons or something like that. And I'm just like, I don't even delete them because it's like, what's the point? I just let them do what they do. Don't let the haters get you down. Sometimes haters will get you down, but try not to let the haters get you down. But if they do send something like a death threat or things like that, or something just goes way too far other than the occasional lesbo-looking Harambe black girl comment, yeah, I get a lot of that. Then report it. If they use a slur, report it. And you can block them so you never have to hear from them again. These tools are for you. Unless you're on Twitter, then they'll do nothing unless you're popular or a celebrity. And even then, they won't do anything because it's Twitter. So, yeah, that's kind of my stance on hate comments. But sometimes they're so hilarious because they're so misspelled and don't even know what they're saying. I wish I had one. I wish I could pull up one because they're so just jarring and how? I don't know what you're saying. Anyone else got a question while we're in question break? All right, no more question break, so I guess let's go on with the panel. So check your stats. Use the data to your advantage. You got a dashboard, use it. Now, the dashboard, next slide. The dashboard pretty much looks like this. Got all of your analytics. You have all these numbers and bars and pointy things and things. These things are going to help you get popular. Now, how is it going to do that? Well, you're going to see things like your watch time, how many people are watching, the average view, your views, revenue, likes, dislikes, comments, things like that. And this data is going to help you realize what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong, and how can you fix it. But not just that, on the side you have so many other things such as ad rates. Ad rates shows what times are the best times to put up videos and how much you're going to make during certain times. P.S. It's almost Christmas. Sweeps are starting. After Thanksgiving, that's when all the ads are playing. So if you're going to make a YouTube channel in December or put out extra content in December, it's going to be a good time. You have watch time reports, which shows how long people are watching and when they're dropping off your video, which I'll go into more when I talk about audience retention. There's demographics. Demographics shows what age group is watching you, because that could be useful to see where your content's going and who it's appealing to, which also will help things with sponsorship, because sponsors want to know who are you appealing to most for them to give you their product to try. There's play black locations. That goes into, okay, is a lot of people watching me on mobile? Because then you'll optimize your show more for mobile. Is more people watching me on desktop? Because then you could use more stuff that's geared toward desktop. I have more viewers on desktop on the YouTube channel page itself than, say, mobile. So a lot of my stuff, while I do have some mobile functionality, because I do have a sizable mobile base, most of my stuff is for functionality for desktop viewers or laptop or things like that. You got traffic sources, because what if some blog links you and you're like, you just don't know about it, but then you could find out. Devices, again, mobile, desktop. Translations, which I do have some new features for translations right now. I don't have any translations on my videos, mostly because I don't speak any other languages. And I don't have any money to hire someone to, say, translate all my show in Spanish or Japanese. But it would be nice to have that someday, because that way you get more people watching your stuff if you have it accessible in other languages. And then you got engagement reports, which is subscribers, your likes and dislikes, your videos and playlists, like who's adding their video to your playlist. Comments, which you're going to read anyway. You get the notifications as people comment. Sharing, who's sharing your stuff and where. Annotations and if they're being used. I'll tell you this, like I use annotations in my end cards and stuff. Not many people click on them. Like for every annotation I have, I maybe have 2 or 3 more views out of the views I get compared to my social media sharing or just other websites linking me. End cards, which I spoke about before, great for mobile. And end screens, which is new, which I spoke about before. And I got some more stuff for translations and transcriptions, which, again, not that much, like, I don't have much experience with it because I can only speak English, sadly. I really want to be able to speak 2 languages someday. I'm learning. Yes? Hearing impaired? Like, pretty much the captions for the hearing impaired? Yeah, they do have that. Like, there's a auto one that YouTube uses, but sometimes it'll end up, you're talking about Pikachu, and then it's going to translate to Milky Boo. But yes, that would be really good, and I have really, the only reason I haven't done that is just time, which I really should, so thanks for reminding me. Because, well, you want more people to watch your thing, so you need to have it more accessible. Next slide, please. Demographics I talked about. These are my demographics for my show, where I talk about idols of anime and just other stuff on my channel and who watches it. Now, some of this might be a bit weird. It's not just since I don't do more than just anime content, but basically I do more anime content than ever. So most of the people who watch me are, say, 25 to 34 males who are just looking for their idol fix and, you know, girls that can sing, drive robots, and have boobies all at the same time. AKB008, highly recommend it. But also you got a large thing of girls. My demographics used to be all women pretty much, because I was talking about a lot of history and pretty much young shoujo shows and stuff like that were just about idols. But as I kept getting closer to the 2000s, where more of the idol shows and booby shows started coming in, men! So yeah, that kind of reflects that change. Also, second big group was women, but also the 18 to 24-year-olds, as I started incorporating more weirder humor and more stranger type of things. Suddenly young people are like, this appeals to me, yay! And then somehow I got older people, which I'm like, where are you coming from? Who are you? Why do you like anime? I've been liking anime since back in 1972. You know nothing about Star Blazers. And somehow, I want to know who the 65 plus people are. I want to meet them. Because I'm like, are you watching my Chick Track video, or are you actually watching Idols of Anime? Because I'm interested in what you got to say. And the other second to last one is like 13 to 17-year-olds, because I tend to go on really long, drawn-out, research-heavy topics. Like I went through the entire short abridged history of relations between Japan and Korea in the middle of talking about Pretty Rhythm, which is about girls ice skating while being idols. And yes, they both have something to do with each other. Episode 19 of Idols of Anime. Watch it. 2 words. K-pop. Oh. Two syllables. K-pop. But yes, also you see who's watching on YouTube Red, which is their ad-free sort of thing. Basically, you're paying them to not see ads. Got a lot less views from that, but mostly because people are like, why do I want YouTube Red? I got Netflix. And then their watch time hours. And then you got just the standard views, which is going to be much higher because no one uses YouTube Red. But let's go to the next slide. So audience retention. This is an example from my Creamy Mommy episode. Now you see that the average view is about 2-3 minutes, because that's how people just want to check something out, and if it doesn't appeal to them in that thing, they'll just click off. And this is absolute audience retention, which is comparing you to every single YouTube video of that length. So a lot of times you'll see like it's high at the beginning, but then it drops off. This is why I have the advice of don't have a long drawn out beginning sequence, like a title sequence, logo sequence. I have a more, used to have a longer one that was about 45 seconds. That was too long. And then I started having a shorter one where it was only 8 seconds. And we're suddenly like, oh yeah, this is much better. I'm actually gonna watch past that now. So try not to have a long logo, like logo or title sequence, because that drop will be even more by that. And then you see how it's comparing. If it gets kind of high at a part where like, and then high, that's because people are rewinding that part usually. And then usually it trails off the end. Now, let's go to the next slide. This is relative audience retention. Notice how it's more above average all the way to high. Now, this one's mostly comparing it to videos that are kind of like it in topic. So, as you can see here, it's pretty high. People are actually more into it, getting engaged, and it even gets like higher until it trails off at the end. So yes, you look at the absolute and you're thinking, oh man, I suck. And then you look at the relative and you're thinking, oh man, I'm awesome. And so look at both just to see how you're doing, because both look at different aspects of the YouTube world. Now look, next slide. And when it comes to YouTube ranking, pretty much how high you're going to be viewed, pretty much are you going to come up in searches. Do search engine optimization, which is making sure people can find your video. 1, keywords. Keywords are important. If you can actually pre-put in your keywords in your templates, that's not the word for it, but your templates, that way you don't have to do it every single video. But for idols of anime, I put anime, idols, idols of anime, Vega, anime about idols, anime involving idols, anime with idols, idols in anime, otaku, Japan, Japanese idols. And those are just the ones that go through everything, because if someone searches for those, they're going to find my video, sometimes eventually. And of course, you got to add in the title of the anime. So Love Live School Idol Project, Love Live Sunshine, Live Love, because sometimes people do it backwards. And so basically those keywords will help people find you. So make sure you always tag your stuff, is what I'm saying. And likes actually do have a bearing on the ranking of how many people are liking your video. And people like your video if they see your video, so you get higher views. But in the past, views used to matter. Now it's more audience retention, likes, shares, as well as just, sorry about that, as well as just what you do to get it out there, such as social media sharing. Can we go to the next one? Search engine optimization is a big topic, and it would take an entire hour just to explain all the intricacies of it. So I suggest really watching Roberto Blake on that, and of course looking it up yourself. But another thing to get your video out there is the power of friendship. It's magic. But yes, power of friendship. Next slide. Make friends. Make friends with other YouTubers. Make friends with other YouTubers that do the thing you do. Do some stuff with them. And this comes down to networking. But you're not just networking. You're talking to people about something you're interested in. Now, one thing with it, though, don't just try and seek out big YouTubers just so you can leech off of their fame or something. Actually make some connections, make some friendships, stuff like that. Sometimes people do crossovers to, promote their stuff on their show or vice versa, trying to get both the audiences together. Remember a few years ago when the biggest mashup on YouTube was Ego Raptor and JonTron? Wow. And thus the Game Grumps was born. And you see where that turned out? Well, the bad parts is that JonTron left it, but then we got Danny Sexbang, so yeah. And then we got Ninja Sex Party. I'm a big fan of that. But yes, do some stuff with them. maybe just do a crossover video when you're both talking about an anime that kind of you either both like or kind of has something to do with both of what you're doing. And that comes down to networking to find these people. And sometimes you just do that with your friends who already have YouTube channels. Just finding something. And yeah, when it comes to networking, it's kind of hard. I'm a shy person too. I'm really shy. So sometimes I'm like, I want to meet them, but they're going to think I'm a creeper. I watch your vlog. My name's Vega. But yes, I have stories where I may have embarrassed myself in front of several YouTubers. But yeah, I eventually found like a bunch of people and occasionally asked them to be in my videos or I'm in their videos. It's really fun. And plus, it's just more fun to do something together, you know? Next slide. And then that helps with a bit with promotion because now their audience is like, hey, I wonder who this person is. And promotion. Don't tweet your new thing at 3 a.m. like I do sometime. Next slide. Branding. Such as when we went over the look, like what a channel should look like, some of the aspects you need, such as your icon and your banner. Those are really important because there's people. That's going to be the first thing people see. Social media. Have some social media accounts with your channel name because people are going to follow those. And of course, talk about your, like, just say in the end card, hey, you could contact me at Vega on Twitter or something on Gmail, or check out the Facebook page. And speaking of social media, sometimes you can make pages for your show on these things. Like I just started a Facebook one just for Idols of Anime because I had a basic one for just Vega where it encapsulates all the stuff I've done, but then I kind of let it sit and abandon it. And I'm like, I really could do this better. I really need to do this better. So I started a new one. I had a Tumblr for Vega Loves in general. Then I did a spin-off for just Idols of Anime because some people only like me for Idols of Anime or only know me for Idols of Anime. And of course, just keeping a blog about the show. Sorry, I need a drink. Live, everybody. Keeping a blog with the show can be really helpful. Now, and plus, you could sometimes put things like a Project Wonderful ad on the blog site as well. And sometimes you can put other things pertaining to the show, like say just a blog or share other things. And then going to cons can be great promotion. I'm Vega. Hi. I do X and blah blah blah. I do Idols of Anime. You should go watch it. Go watch it right now. Get out your phone and watch it. I need the views. So those are some great promotional aspects. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, there you go. And then there's promotion inside YouTube. Again, branding comes up because people are going to look for your videos. People are going to look by your channel name, but also tagging your videos like I talked about before, the title cards, as well as cards, annotations, and end cards, which we talked about in the look. Next one. And now we come to the other thing. Making money. There is no money, but there can be. Now, there really are ways for you to make some money on YouTube. And next slide. Advertising. You can monetize your videos. Now, you can't do this if you have a copyright strike, because if you have a copyright strike, you're pretty much being punished from that for indeterminate part of time. I never got a copyright strike, so I have no idea how long it lasts. But basically, you can monetize your videos by just going under your settings, clicking monetization, and there you go. And you could choose what type of ads you want when it comes to just the desktop ads, those little bar video at the bottom of your video advertising something. You could choose an unskippable ad, which I don't like the unskippable ads, but they do make a lot more, but I rarely ever use them because I hate them as well. Skippable ads, which means you're a good person. And of course, you could put ad breaks within the video. thanks to the monetization settings. There's Patreon, which is the most popular way people make money online for their content. Webcomicers, video makers, all sorts of people use Patreon. And what's great about it, basically, it's like this. It's like pretty much people subscribing to you every month or giving you money every month for doing the thing. And which is why you have Patreon goals or things you do for patrons, such as you will get an extra Idols of Anime if I get to this goal. You will get a blog post every week if you get to this goal. I will vlog an extra series if you get to this goal. Things like that. So try a Patreon. And plus, because of the advertising on YouTube and Google, you don't get a payout on your videos unless you reach the payment threshold. The payment threshold is $100. But if you're a much slower YouTuber or a smaller YouTuber like I am, it's going to take you a few months just to get to $100. So you're just like, But that's when Patreon comes through. And the fans of yours will go to that, they'll see that and be like, hey, only $2 to get, chip in for my favorite YouTuber? Yes. And people will do that. And then there's sponsorships. Now, sponsorships I haven't done yet. Usually, sponsors look for people who are over 5,000 subscribers. And so, basically, a company like, say, Loot Crate, Crunchyroll, Audible, sometimes the Men's Shaving Club I saw once, basically will say, hey, we see you got a lot of subscribers there. We kind of would give you a product if you, say, just plug this at the end of your video. And then you're like, okay. And so you do. I really suggest if you're going to do sponsorships, make sure it's something that you're into or something that has to do with your channel. Because it's really awkward when you just did your gaming Let's Play and then it's like, oh, by the way, check out Pikachu.com where you can get all sorts of... Wait, no, that makes sense. Okay, check out Watermelon.com where you could get a free watermelon in your box every month. I don't know how that would even work, but... yeah, there's an example. I really think sponsorships should have something to do with what you do because it's just kind of awkward watching something and then having a sponsor for something that's not related to the video you just did. Like, here's my super awesome Let's Play on Love Live, brought to you by the Men's Shaving Club. And then there's merch, DVDs, T-shirts, books, things like that. Some people like AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd, Pat the NES Punk, Linkara, Atop the Fourth Wall, has done DVDs with special episodes that are only available on a DVD. Now, really, I recommend that if you're really big, million subscriber views type of big. But you could do merch as well, they're through sites like Society6. Society6 is what I'm really more familiar with. Basically, you put up your pictures or photos, and you get it on different. You can put it on different items such as T-shirts, mugs, all sorts of stuff. Or you could just kind of get it printed your own. I like what's that site? It's gone. 1 Hour Tees, but they're based in Chicago. So since you don't, none of you probably live in Chicago, can't really recommend them. But there are other sites online that can do that, where they can print off T-shirts. I would say try and do that when you're in your few thousand, or just ask to gauge interest in it, because there's nothing worse than say having a box full of T-shirts in your room for your show that no one wants. But that's why it's really good to use things like Redbubble or Society6 or something where it's pretty much a print-on-demand sort of thing. And then there's fan funding. Now, fan funding is actually a feature in YouTube. You can enable fan funding, and people are like, I like this guy. Here's $5. It's like a tip jar, basically, on YouTube. That's awesome. I would like $5. Anyway, next slide. Okay, question break number 3. Who has a question right now before we get into the end pieces of our panel? Yes. I'm sorry, what? I mostly use the standards of Facebook and Twitter. since those are like the biggest and everyone uses them. Instagram's really hot. Vine is gone. R.I.P. I don't know anything about Snapchat because I'm over the age of 25. But I'm not sure what exactly you do with Snapchat, but hey, if you could use it as a tool, why not? Instagram, I know a lot of artists use it because I used it for some art, but mostly I just use it for conventions and stuff. A lot of artists do that too. Say for Inktober. Inktober just passed, where someone inks something every day. I participated 3 days before I had no time for it. But yeah, people put those on Instagram. So sure how to use it in a YouTuber context yet. So it's something that I should really study, so that way next time I do this panel, I have a good answer for that one. But mostly, your main two of Facebook and Twitter, because you can make yourself a Facebook page and share it on Twitter, would be great. Tumblr. Tumblr's the third condiment here. It's the sriracha of this social media. Yeah, put it on Tumblr, because Tumblr is pretty much where fandoms and hipster live. So, yeah, those are YouTube demographics. Fandoms, hipsters. Oh wait, gamers. 3 demographics there. So yeah, try those. Like, pretty much can't go wrong with them. Although I do hope that Tumblr doesn't go down anytime soon, because I have so much stuff on Tumblr. Anyone else have a question in our question break before we start with the end bits? Anyone? All right, next slide then. Don't get discouraged. Yes, it can be hard doing these videos. It can be pretty sad seeing your video and trying to see if the views go up, and it's only been going up because you kept refreshing the page. So, next slide. But don't get discouraged. Even when your views are low, things take time. People will eventually come to it, and if you keep researching on how to make your content better, researching to see what can you do to get more subscribers and stuff, and of course sharing it and making good content. It doesn't matter if your content, well, actually it does matter if your content's crap, because even if you do all the right things, if your content's not good, no one's gonna watch it and stick with you. So number one, make the good content and views will eventually come to you. And even then, it might not work, but that's important. It's important to do things because you enjoy it. You enjoy making these videos. I love doing Idols of Anime. And when I hear people that's seen it and they say, hey, I love that episode about Perfect Blue and how you showed that like murder scene, spoiler, that was awesome. And of course there's burnout, because sometimes you're doing an episode like so much and you're just like, I'm so burnt out. I need a break. I need a short break. And even if you do get burnt out, it's okay. Sometimes stepping away from it can get you better. But make sure you communicate with the audience. Like, do a little channel update or something. Like, I had to move cross-country twice this year. So pretty much this whole fall season has been... But I said to my audience, hey, August, September, and October may be borked. I'm sorry. And this is why. But be patient, and the new episodes are coming. And the AKB 0048 episode, it's going to be up next week. And I've been working on that all month because it's going to be a super long extravaganza with After Effects and everything. But be patient and keep working. You can get subscribers if you play the game. Playing the YouTube game. It's a game with a bit of a learning curve, but once you get in a good stride, you can make it. So never stop learning. Next slide. Never stop learning. You can do it. Make your dreams happen, blah, blah, blah. Next slide. And the YouTube environment's changing for the better. Like I said before, the stuff in the past with content claiming has now been fixed. At least we'll see in the future. They just started rolling it out this week. What do you have to lose? Well, you have time, but what you do with that time, what you're going to learn from it. Think of the benefits you're going to get from making your own YouTube channel. You're learning a new creative skill that can take you far in life. People actually look for people who can video edit, who can use different programs and stuff like that. I even put it on my resume because, well, it's another part of my skill set on top of the other stuff I learned in college. and got a couple jobs from it just freelancing. So learning how to make YouTube videos, or learning YouTube, or learning social media, or learning just programs and audio and stuff like that will be beneficial to you in the long run. And never stop learning. I'm still learning. Learning is what you should always do. You're never done learning in life, and that applies to everything. So you're just starting out with your YouTube channel. You're going to learn so much in this time. You're a greenhorn right now, but soon, I don't know what the anti-greenhorn is. Gold horn? Black horn? Red horn? I don't know. Platinum horn? You'll soon be a platinum horn. And yeah, like, look at what other YouTubers are doing and saying. See what's going on, but also make great content. No matter what you do on YouTube, it's all going to come down to great content. So make sure what it is, it's great. Make sure you're passionate, make sure you're learning, make sure it's research one, and make sure it looks good as well as sound good, because there's episodes of Idols of Anime that sound like crap, I'll admit. And next slide. And of course, thank you for coming this morning. All three of you. Well, three of you that stayed. My YouTube channel is Vega Loves. My Twitter's Vega. My Tumblr, I have several Tumblrs, but the one for my show is Idols of Anime. A new Facebook page that I'm just working on now, Idols of Anime. Like and subscribe down below. Not that that exists, because there's nothing but air. And I'm also doing more panels this weekend. We got Idols of Anime, the panel version, Sunday, 10 a.m. Fun story. The Idols of Anime show actually came from a panel I did years ago, that now I'm doing a panel of the show, so it's coming all round circle. And right after that, in the same room, I'm talking all about the Idol Master. So if you like the Idol Master franchise, come see me talk about it. Anyway, thank you guys for coming, and have yourself a great Youmacon.